Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out today. Hopefully everybody made it here without incident. We've had enough incidents on our end to cover all of you, but thank you for coming to this very special occasion. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Conway. I'm the Sullivan County historian, have been for a few years now, and the president of the Delaware Company. And although the Delaware Company is the official sponsor of the event the last several years, we could not do it without the help of many, many other people. And I don't usually do this, but I want to take a minute to just thank some of them very especially today, because as I said, we've just had a number of incidents that could have been a lot worse if we hadn't had people willing to pitch in and go above and beyond. And I'll start out with the Sullivan County Parks and Rec Department, Brian Scarterfield and John Whitaker. Thank you guys for all your help. Believe me, this was really, they were instrumental in us being able to pull this off today. I don't know why, of all days, it just, everything seemed to go wrong. So thank you guys. Thank you to the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department for providing the vehicles.
Yes.
But it's the Parks and Rec guys driving them. So another thank you to them. Also, Sullivan County Historical Society, as always, makes a contribution. So we couldn't do it without those folks, so thank you all. I also want to thank my staff at Fort Delaware for taking the extra time to come here today and do our color guard. It's harder and harder to find people to participate each year, so we're really glad to have younger people stepping up. You know, it's really easy to sit back and to criticize and to say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, maybe you shouldn't have done that, but to have actual help from people who are willing to put in the time and the effort is really extra special. So thank you to all the guys from Fort Delaware. Josh, that's you guys. Okay, let us get started. So welcome to the Minisink Battleground for our solemn dedication, commemoration of the Battle of Minisink. I'd like to start out by introducing Reverend Dr. David Lemkuhl, who happens to be my neighbor in Barryville. Not that he lives there, but his congregation is next door. And we're very happy to have him finally.
Yes,
after
sir.
a couple of mishits, right? So he's here to offer our invocation today. Reverend Dr. David C. Lemkuhl from the Barryville United Methodist Church with our invocation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, please stand for a brief prayer. Let us pray. Gracious God, you have gathered us here together. You've touched each heart and made it feel like it needed to be here for this moment, for these purposes, for these individuals who offered their lives in the battle for freedom for our sake. We give you thanks for this moment in time. We give you thanks for all those who have always offered themselves in service to their country, who have fought for the cause of freedom, who have tried to bring peace and justice through strength. We ask, Lord, that as we remember the events of 246 years ago, that we also feel it in the present, that we pray for peace, that there would come the day when we will beat our swords into plowshares, our spears into pruning hooks, and when we will not learn war anymore. We ask all this in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate that. Speaking of contributions, I should have mentioned also the Navasing Long Rifles, who year after year have been here to help us with this commemoration and many other things as well. And they are here once again, along with our Fort Delaware staff, to offer the presentation of the colors.
Company. Left. Wheel. Stay on the colors. Front. Company. Left. Wheel. That's on the colors. Front. Halt. Company. Present your arms.
I'd like to call on Teresa Cahages, who is the director of the Delaware Company, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Teresa?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have Barbara Gropper from the Wayne chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, with us once again to read the American's Creed, and we'd ask that you all read along, recite the Creed with her. Thank you, Barbara.
American Creed. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and defend it against all enemies.
Thank you, Barbara. Please be seated. So every year, one of the most daunting parts of putting together this ceremony is to find a speaker and to find someone who is a fitting speaker, someone who has something to say, something to offer, someone who makes this a better commemoration each year. And we've been very lucky over the years to have some very exceptional addresses here. I remember a few years ago, former Congressman Chris Gibson was here and talked about the crisis of leadership that led to the problems the colonials faced here at Minisink. And we had Chris Heister from the National Park Service deliver a memorable address a few years ago about the importance of preserving places like the Minisink Battleground. And that's becoming harder and harder each year, especially as funding is being cut back. And volunteers are becoming more and more critical to efforts like that. And unfortunately, we're all getting older, so volunteers are harder and harder to find. As I said, it's very important to be able to nurture these young folks so that there is someone to pass the torch to. So this year we're very honored to have with us not only a Sullivan County legislator who appreciates the importance of maintaining a place like Minisink, which is owned by the county and is maintained by the county and has been since 1955. And what an incredible job they've done here. If you have seen how this has progressed over the years, I know there are some folks in the audience today who remember the days before this was a park, before the trails were cut, and before someone was here regularly to take care of the lawns and the parking lot and so on. So we're fortunate to have with us not only a Sullivan County legislator, but a member of the Wiltwyck chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Honorable Terry Blosser-Bernardo, who will deliver the keynote today, Duty, Memory, and Meaning. Terry?
Good afternoon. To the Delaware Company, to our Sullivan County historian, John Conway, to my fellow county employees, Dan and Brian, to the members of the sons and daughters of the American Revolution, and to all the descendants of the men who fought here, thank you. 246 years ago, the seeds of this nation were defended here by citizens, not soldiers, by farmers, teachers, blacksmiths, and teenagers who answered a call, not just of battle, but of belief, that freedom could belong to the many, not just the powerful. Some of them gave their lives here, on this very land beneath our feet. We honor them today, not just with reenactments, but with reactivation of duty, memory, and meaning. The Battle of Minisink is one of the most sobering chapters in the Revolutionary War. It is the only battle that was fought in Sullivan County, and not between massive armies, but between a hastily assembled local militia against the experienced forces of Joseph Brant, the Mohawk leader allied with the British. On July 22nd, 1779, local patriots from what is now mostly Orange, Ulster, and Sullivan counties set out to ambush Joseph Brant's forces as they crossed the Minisink Ford. They were outnumbered, underprepared, but they went anyways. By day's end, more than 44 fathers, sons, and neighbors had fallen. Their remains lay here, unburied for over 40 years, until silence itself became its very own kind of grief. We gather to end that silence again, to answer it with remembrance. It's easy, with 246 years of distance, to speak in noble tones, valor, sacrifice, courage. But these men didn't fight in poetry. They fought in heat, in mud, in fear. Among the dead, Colonel Benjamin Tustin, John Little, names once known in town, now carved in stone because we still speak them. We don't remember because it's easy. We remember because someone has to. That's the thread that we carry. Some ask, why mark a loss? Why honor a battle we didn't win? Because memory isn't about victory. It's about presence, witnessing. Because forgetting is how people lose themselves long before they lose their freedom. Today, the threat isn't musket fire, it's erasure. A world so fast, so digitized, that stories like this risk being buried not by time, but by noise. I was admitted to the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution under the service of Nicholas Riffle. He was born March 16, 1752, in what was then the Panhandle of Virginia, now Spring Hill Township, Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. He served as a private in the Pennsylvania militia, under or near the command of Captain Samuel Kincaid. He was exactly the right age to fight. 23 when the war began, 31 when it ended. Prime age, prime purpose. Exactly the kind of man this nation was built on. He survived the war, but the war did not spare him. In 1783, his name appears in documents as having suffered depredation. That phrase, cold on the page, means his property was raided, livestock stolen, crops destroyed, possessions taken. He may have been left destitute. So he wasn't just a participant in the war, he was a casualty of it. And yet he endured, he stayed, he rebuilt, he carried on. Nicholas Riffle died in 1808 in German Township, Fayette County, Pennsylvania. Land that was once claimed by both Virginia and Pennsylvania. Lines were blurry, documents conflicted, but what he stood for, that was clear. This region, the confluence of the Cheat and Monongahela rivers, the edge of West Virginia and Pennsylvania, was not just strategic, it was ancestral. This was a transportation hub, a war zone, a boundary dispute, and a home. Blosser Hill, just outside Port Marion, Pennsylvania, still carries that name, my maiden name, in Terry Blosser-Bernardo. And my family lived there, and some still live there today. And I stand here today not just because of Nicholas Riffle, but because of a woman who believed Nicholas Riffle's service mattered. My membership in the Daughters of the American Revolution is traced through my great-aunt Mildred Blosser Weaver, national number 409923. She became my genealogical key. My own DAR number is 9155550. And I just learned from a member in the audience that that might entitle me to a centennial pin, so I'm very excited to learn. Legacy pin. Thank you, Barb. Mildred's brothers and sisters were John, Warren, Ruth, Margaret, and Robert Blosser Sr. My father is Robert Blosser Jr. They lived in Smithfield, Pennsylvania, and from there dispersed across Uniontown, Port Marion, Baltimore, Fayetteville, and Washington, D.C. When I say I carry this legacy, I don't mean metaphor. I mean Blosser Hill. I mean the rivers that carried their stories. I carry it now. The Daughters of the American Revolution certificate on my wall says that I am a descendant of a patriot who with unfailing loyalty rendered material aid to the cause of American independence. And every time I read that DAR certificate, I remember that that legacy did not end with him, and it doesn't end with me. What he fought for then, I serve for now, not with a musket, but with a vote. Not by standing on a ridge, but by standing in our county's legislative chambers. Minisink Battleground Park is more than a memorial. It is a reckoning, a space of story. When we bring students here, we're not just teaching dates, we're teaching duty. When we lay wreaths, we're not just decorating, we're anchoring names into soil that once bore witness to their blood. because memory must be visited, revisited, and reaffirmed. Freedom is not self-cleansing, it requires caretakers. And that is what you become when you remember: a caretaker, a witness. I speak about continuity often in my work, not just in the historical sense, but in the ethical one. And this is not about data, it's about duty. Our ancestors gave everything so that we could choose what to carry forward. Their stories, their values, their vigilance. If we lose that, if we allow amnesia to be policy, then the loss is quieter, but no less fatal. Continuity is not nostalgia. It is the contract between generations. Now imagine standing here 246 years from now. Maybe it will be one of your descendants. Maybe it will be someone that we will never meet. They will stand where we're standing now and look back. And what will they say? Will they say that we carried the thread? That we honored this land? That we protected the memory? Or will they ask why the story stopped? That's our charge. Not just to honor the dead, but to ensure that they are never digitally buried, never emotionally erased. So they echo forward as clearly as they echo back. So I say the name Nicholas Riffle one more time, not because he's mine, but because he's ours. And I say the names of all the fallen here, not because we knew them, but because we owe them. To those who fought, we remember you. To those who came after, we carry you. And to those standing now, be the thread. Because freedom doesn't survive on its own, it survives on memory. And memory only survives if we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. That was incredible. Thank you very, very much for sharing those thoughts with us. And very important thoughts as well. And I think that those of you who are here today are helping to carry on those stories. And we pledge to continue to do that as long as we're able and as long as we have partners like you. It's a task well worth doing and easily done. We move on to our memorial wreaths, and for that we have a number of DAR chapters with us today. I know we have Beaver Kill. You guys have wreaths? Are we doing that? Okay. So we have Beaver Kill, Old Mine Road. Anyone here from Minisink? Okay, not today. Wayne chapters here, and Colfax. Did Hester's got, okay. So do you have a wreath? Okay, so we're going to have our DAR representatives escorted by Fort Delaware staff.
Company. Oh, read it again. Let me stand in the middle.
You don't have to.
If you want, you can stand up front and we'll be fine. Company, take one pace to the rear. Company, to the front. Mark. Company, wheel to the right. Company, present. Arms.
On behalf of the Daughters of the American Revolution, an organization of women who are descended from those patriots who fought or otherwise participated in the Revolutionary War. It is a distinct honor to place this remembrance here today for those who perished at this battle and to remember all those who served 247 years ago, as we are ever mindful of what they accomplished. This free nation, whose blessings we all enjoy still today.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, ladies. We do appreciate you being part of this ceremony every year. And thank you to the Port Delaware Honor Guard. Now it is time for our most solemn part of the ceremony. We call it a time for reflection. We read the names of the fallen. And today we call on the members of the Fort Delaware Museum to come up and to read the names, and the bell will be rung by one of our Navasing long rifles.
Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Tustin, MD. Captain Bezaleel Tyler. Ensign Ephraim Maston. Adjutant Nathaniel Finch. Captain John Duncan. Captain Samuel Jones. Captain John Little. Ensign Ephraim Middow. Gabriel Wisner, Esquire. Stephen Meade. Captain Benjamin Vale. Lieutenant John Wood. Matthias Terwilliger. Joshua Lockwood. Joseph Ryder.
Ephraim Ferguson. Robert Townsend. James Knapp. Benjamin Bennett. William Barker. Jacob Dunning. Jonathan Pierce. James Little. Joseph Norris. Gilbert S. Bell. Joel Decker. Abraham Shepard. Nathan Wade. Simon Waite. Daniel Talmadge.
John Carpenter. David Barney. Jonathan Haskill. Abram Williams. James Mosher. Isaac Ward, Baltus Neopus, Gamil Bailey, Moses Thomas II, Elizur Owens, Adam Umbaumer, Samuel Little, Benjamin Dunning, Daniel Reed, Samuel Knapp, Timothy Barber.
Thank you once again, Keegan Gillo, Joe Sardonia, and Grace Hector from Fort Delaware. Thank you, guys. Time for the military memorial. Once again, we have the Navasing Long Rifles and the Fort Delaware Museum. I think it would be appropriate to rise.
Company, you do have permission to use landing. So, company, prepare to prime and load. Handle cartridge. Prime pan. Handle cartridge. Charge barrel. Draw rammer. Ram cartridge. Return rammer. Shoulder file. Hammer stalls on. Company. Right about. Face. Wheel to the right. Oh, sorry, the way back. To the left. Wheel. Mark. Underneath the chair. Halt. Dress. Prepare. Commence firing. Prepare to commence firing of joy. Commence. Lock it gun. Next guy. Present. Present. Shoulder. Fire lock. Hammer stills on. Shut. Hand. Half cut. Half cut. Shut. Hand. Right up. Face. Company. Right. Wheel. Halt.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Before we move on to our final closing prayer or benediction, just want to mention a couple of things about what transpired here today in terms of the honor guard and the drum. Some of you may be aware of that, of the importance of the drum in warfare. And this was very realistic. So if you're in battle, the commanding officer is issuing commands. They don't necessarily travel long distances. And so his voice can't be heard by all of the soldiers, and that's where the drummers came into play. They were the ones who transcribed, if you will, the orders so that they could be heard down the line. So drummers and fifes became very important in the military sense, including in the battle itself. We're very fortunate to have started recently a fife and drum corps at Fort Delaware. We actually marched in the 4th of July parade in Narrowsburg, and were awarded a trophy for the best appearing organization. So we're very proud of that. It was just the beginning, and the fife and drum corps, these guys all marched, will continue to grow and to improve, and we hope to be visible at many, many other events. So thank you guys for all of your help, and even though we had a couple of misfires there, I think that's all part of realistic reenactment of battle, right? So that brings us to our concluding prayer. I would once again like to call forward Reverend Dr. David Lemkuhl, the pastor of the Berryville United Methodist Church, to offer our benediction today. Please rise.
A benediction is, it means good speech, and it's usually a dismissal, so that's what I'll be doing. I'll be dismissing. But before I do that, I thought a little good speech, if you don't mind. I'm a preacher after all. But many, many people have been thanked today. I didn't hear John mention himself. And we do want to thank you, John, for this day and for making this happen. Thank you. And now, if I may, let us continue to worship in this cathedral, this God-created cathedral, this sacred ground. As we go from this place, let us remember how our hearts have been touched by the stories we've heard, by the names we've remembered, by the sacrifice that we've attempted to honor as best we could this day and in this place. Give your whole heart to the love of this country and for what it stands and what it could be, the idea that is America. And go in peace in the name of God. Amen. Yes, sir.
You're not dismissed quite yet, but thank you. We have one final, which is almost always the highlight of the day for me. Now we're going to call forward Electra Cahages. And I'm just going to put you on the spot here. So how many years have you been doing this?
I'm not sure.
Since you were about 7, right? So, we're, again, one of the young people that we're very fortunate to have support us, and eventually will be taking over as we pass the torch. So Teresa's here to offer what has become kind of a tradition at these commemorations, a Shokan farewell. Now, I just want to mention that the rendition of A Show Can't Farewell seems particularly fitting this year. As you may know, probably you do, the song gained notoriety through the Ken Burns documentary on the Civil War a number of years ago. This year in November, Ken Burns will be presenting a 6-part series, I believe it's 12 hours long, on the Revolutionary War. And although I've heard varying reviews of it, we're really looking forward to it, and in particular because some of the background footage was shot last year at Fort Delaware. And I wanted to just also thank my wife, Deborah, the executive director of the Delaware Company, who's behind the scenes for many of these things that take place, coordinating the shooting with Ken Burns, forming the Pipe and Drum Corps, helping coordinate this event every year. Very few things happen without Deborah's coordination, so thank you to Deborah as well. And lastly, before we leave today, I would like to thank all of you. As I've often said in the past, you know, whatever it is that we do here, and we're very proud of what we do, but it would really be meaningless if you think about it without folks who appreciate it, folks who attend these kinds of events and all the other things that we do. So thank you for your part. Thank you for, as Terry said, carrying on the thread and keeping the memory alive. And thank you once again to the Honorable Terry Blosser-Bernardo for a great keynote today. Thank you all for attending. And now, as David said, they're dismissed. Thank you.
God save Minisink!